I always wondered why people would succeed. What was the difference between someone who did really well and someone who wouldn't do well? Was it practice? Was it talent? And a lot of people ask me, through my experience of working with a number of different teams, well, what is it? I came to the conclusion through my own reading and research that 1% was talent and 99% was practice. There's a principle I came across which was called the 10,000 hours principle. And it says, in a book that I read a few years ago called The Outliers by Malcolm Gladwell, he said that most people who rose above other people had practiced significantly, in and around 10,000 hours. And that was based on a study from Dr. K. Anders Ericsson, professor of psychology at Florida State University. And he studied people that were successful and for what makes them better than everybody else. And what he came up with is that the amount of practice they would put in was phenomenal. Phenomenal levels of practice, up to 10,000 hours. And they called it the 10,000 hour rule. And what's interesting about that is anyone who excels in football, drawing, writing, chess, whatever it is, tennis, you'll find that they'll have practiced in and around that time frame. It takes about that time frame to become an expert or master something, which is key. And what was interesting as well, they did a study on these violinists in Berlin, and they took ones who mastered the art of playing the violin and ones who just mediocre. And they found the ones who were mediocre to practice for about 3,000 or 4,000 hours in 10 years. The ones who practiced near enough 10,000 hours in 10 years were masters. They also studied, and teams of psychologists have studied different people in different situations. The Beatles, the famous pop group, the Beatles, they, from 1960 to 64, couldn't play. Yet they moved to Hamburg in 1960. They couldn't play, but by 64 they had a big hit, and they kicked on after that. And they found that it was just through sheer practice they got there. Wayne Gretzky is an ice hockey player in Canada, one of the best people of all time. And it was really interesting to find that he also practiced over and over again. Bill Gates, before he launched his computer program software, had worked on it for 10,000 hours or so. And these are based on independent research projects for different people. And the list goes on, really. And you'll probably see that people that you know who sort of have excelled and gone on to do really well would pretty much use that principle. And there was a guy that thought, well, Dan McLaughlin thought, well, is this true? He was a professor, he's a photographer, sorry, from Oregon, an American, thought, would this work? He'd never picked up a golf club in his life before. It was 30 years of age. He thought, well, I'm going to see if I work, if I can move towards playing PGA. Can this work? And he's one of many people who've tried the theory. So he spent 10,000 hours trying to master golf. And he got to a level where he picked up sponsors from Nike for his efforts, and he excelled significantly to the point where he got to that level to play tour. He's shooting a documentary. I don't know if it's finished yet, but you can possibly look out for it. And what was really interesting as well was the fact that this guy would go on and prove the principle, like many other people have proved to have worked. And I guess if you're looking to quantify that, that's literally 20 hours a week working on a chosen pursuit, which is about 1,000 hours a year. So literally at that rate, 5 years is a very competent level and 10 years is mastery. And if you think about all the Olympic athletes out there who go on to do really well, it takes about that long for them to get to where they get to. It's very rare someone bursts on the scene and after a first 4-year cycle wins a major medal. Generally what will happen, they'll train for a number of years, they'll enter their first tournament, do well, and then thereafter they'll generally kick on and kick on from there, really. So it's an interesting concept and one that you can look at.